Okay, sorry about that. My battery died. I should have known. It has a little emblem here, so I could have read it was going dead. So anyway, here we are. We've already removed the power head, the bag, the handle, the trim plate, the power cord, and the hood, as I call it. Now, to get to the fan, a lot of people will say, oh, you got to take the wheels off and take this front plate off that is sealed. You do not have to do that. Yes, you can. That is not the easiest way. The easiest way is going to be removing all this. It will sound like a lot, but it's actually pretty easy. Now the first step, well, here real quick, there's the tech drive belt. This is what operates the transmission. It hooks in right here. You can see it's hooked in through a little hole there. So when you push the handle or pull it, it engages the transmission. But to actually make it work, this comes off the motor. The belt hooks into the gear here and spins, turns the transmission. It's a transmission assist. It makes it easier to push and pull. But anyway, to get this all apart, you're going to start, snap. Careful when you do this, don't break it. It comes apart pretty easy and it's pretty sturdy. But you just snap that apart. Now all these are basically the same. The Centria, the G3, all the way back to the G3, and until you get into the real old models. For the past 25 years they just hook on. Now on the older models, this is a little different. I like the newer design better. It's a little easier to deal with. But they all just, you just slide it back on there when you get ready to, and then pop it back down on there on top of the transmission. It clips on. You feel it clip, you hear it snap in place. So to get the transmission out, that's the next step. You're gonna come down here. You will see 4 screws here. They're all T20s. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do not take this one out. This holds the drive switch selector here. You can get the whole thing out with 1, 2, 3. Them 3 screws, they're all T20s. They get it out. Make sure the transmission is in neutral when you do this. If you have it in drive, it may just fall out and land on your hand, damage something. Probably won't damage something, but might hit your hand under here. Might hurt your desk, your table, your whatever you're working on. Might hurt the transmission. Okay, so we're removing these 3 screws here. Again, 2 hands is better than 1. Twice as good. And 4 hands is even better. But my cameraman's in the other room watching Pokemon. Some of you might have seen him in 1 or 2 of my videos, or will see him. His name is Bun. That's his nickname. Because he's sweet, like a honey bun. Sure, that makes sense. So anyway, okay, I'm almost done. You can see the transmission loosening up, but it didn't fall out. Notice I kept all them screws together. I have separated. It's my OCD way. Come up with your own way, as long as you know what screw goes where. Now you kick it in drive, and the belt is pretty much the only thing holding it on now. As you can see, it just drops right out of here. There's the power switch thing. This is the transmission. You can see down in here, when you hit the drive switch selector, see the gear disengaged. If you hear a clicking sound while you're pushing it and it's in neutral, sometimes you have to adjust this. We're not going to get into that now. Just know that's what you got to get into. Okay, we're going to stick the transmission to the side. Now we're going to remove the top plate here. You got, again, 4 screws. 1, 2, and then you spin it around, and you got 2 more on the front that you couldn't see originally because the hood was on here. 1, 2. So that makes 4. These 2 here are a little longer because they go through the body and into the top plate. So let's see if I can do this. As much as I work on stuff, I'm probably going to end up buying an electric screwdriver. I could use my drill, but it's too big and bulky and I don't want to do that. Now for each step of this, like I was showing you in my tray, I keep the screws separated. That way I know what screws go with what steps. You can see the plates coming loose. Why is that one catching? Probably got a little bit of the rubber seal in there that seals this. If you take this front plate off, you're going to have to get some gasket sealer and rebuild a gasket. I don't want to do that. It's easier to go in the back way. If you want to change a fan, this is the way I recommend. If you have two hands, in 15 minutes, you can change the fan and be well on your way to putting it back together. Now when you're taking this top plate apart, or disconnecting it, you're going to notice wires here. And I'm fixing to show you how to make sure, don't just lift this up. Do not just lift this up. It's disconnected now, except for, there's 4 wires over here. They go in a certain order. The short one here comes from the light assembly. The long one comes from up here also. They go to the back side. Take a picture with your phone, memorize how these wires go in there. If you hook them up wrong, I mean, they're not going to work. You can lift it slowly so you can see down in there better. This wire, this front wire here, and this lower front wire go to the brushes. The lower front wire goes to this brush, this carbon brush. This one will go around this wire and down under the motor and come up, and it is actually this wire that you were dealing with there. So when you take them apart, make sure to do it slowly. Make sure you don't just snatch willy-nilly. That way you know where stuff goes. Now they kind of pull out their female ends. See the short one up top. It's hard to see where it goes, but there's a little hole at the top of the power mechanism here. Now these are a little easier to pop off with one hand and a screwdriver. A flathead screwdriver. Don't just be grabbing a Phillips head. Let me see if I can get this. It's much easier with 2 hands. This one's in there in the back. You can get it. Well, let's try this one first there. This is much easier with 2 hands. Set the phone down now that you got pictures and everything, and you can see how everything goes in here. There. Once you get all 4 of them connected, they're kind of molded. You can see, as long as you don't twist them and bend them up, they'll tell you by the shape where they go back in when you get ready to put it back together. Don't forget, this is this one. It's the brush on the other side. It goes to the top one. This brush here goes to the bottom front one. The 2 wires, you will see a hole here. Let's see if I can get it. Right there is where the little short wire goes. And down behind the brush, well, you can't see it from this angle. There, you can see it down there. That's where the other brush, or the other long wire from the lid goes. So now we got that disconnected. Let's take the brush out. You're going to need a Phillips head for this. You got 2 Phillips head screws here. This is the one for the brush. And the brush just kind of pops out top first because it has a little nub on the bottom that sits in a hole. And then it comes out. Now you see, there's still plenty of life in this carbon brush. No reason to replace them. I always look at this while I'm in here. But there's the little nub I was talking about on the bottom. It goes in first, and then you just kind of roll it in. It's kind of tricky to do because you got to have the spring compressed and back in there. So we're going to leave that alone for now. Okay, now that's out of the way. The next step to get this out, to get to the fan, right here, this screw, this Phillips head screw, is going to be longer. It goes to the power. Now when you unplug it, that's where the cord goes, and it plugs into here. That's what powers everything. Well, they use a short screw. That's a little unusual. But there's the short screw. Throw it in there to the side. Now the easiest way, you can't just pull this off crazy. It kind of slides in. The best way I've found is get something kind of wedged down in here, gently, and kind of twist it, and you'll hear it pop loose. There. It pops loose, and then you just slide it out. Don't just go pulling it up, because it's got some stuff on there that will break. Don't ask me how I know. Just trust me. These two front pins will break. They are part of the safety switches also. I'll clean this up if they want me to. Oh, goodness. I can see the problem already. All this is not supposed to be down in here. That's what the fan's hitting on. So once I get it all taken apart, we'll be able to see what the clicking sound is, because dust isn't it. As you can see, the power switch slides onto all these little adapters, all these little connectors, and they get covered with hair. Drives me crazy, but that's the way it is. Kirby's are designed to keep most dirt out. They keep tons out compared to the cheaper model regular vacuums. You can still hear it. It's definitely the front fan. There's the back fan there. I don't ever mess with that much, but if the carbon brushes are bad, this area will be black. It's got some black on it, but it's still pretty good and clean. It's copper. It's supposed to be shiny copper, and the brushes sit on each side. So if it's super black, get you a seating stone and clean it. Replace the brushes while you're in here. You saw, take one screw out on each side. They kind of flip in there. They're pretty cheap online. Now, the next step to getting this motor out, you're going to have to go down the bottom. Again, T20. You have two screws. 1, 2. They're both T20s. Let me see if I can do this with one hand. Let's see if I can set you down for a moment. Oh, what did I do? Well, it's not available. Okay. Now, these are longer screws too. They go up and hold the motor in. Now, it's not going to fall out. Don't worry about that, because I did not take the top screws out yet that hold it in also, that are included in this step. Now, they feel loose. They're not going to bounce out for me. There went one. But that's where they come through. They connect there. And over here on this side. Now, some of the Kirbys will have a screw right here holding this little vent in place. This one does not. But you can see a little screw hole there. It's a Phillips head most times, so depending on which vacuum, which Kirby you have, you'll have to undo that screw. Take your little screwdriver, a flathead right here. It just kind of clips in there, and you can knock it loose, and it slides out. And you can see where that other screw went. No, it's not quite out. I can see the tip of it there, so that means I didn't quite get it loose. Let's try this again. Okay, I'm gonna have to set you down again so I can get this. I can't even ring the screw head. There you go. I usually flip this completely upside down and do it where I can see. Being able to see is nice. Okay, well, it's out. There it is. It hit the table. Right there. So throw it over there. See how I got it all organized? Now the next two screws to get the motor out, to get to the fan, are 1 and 2. Guess what size they are? T20s. I like how they use the same size of screw. Now there are different lengths and shapes sometimes. Making it one easy screwdriver is pretty nice. I say screwdriver, torque bit driver. Now some of the models you'll have to kind of slide down behind the brush. Some of the Centrias and things, you kind of have to slide down between the wires and get to this screw on this side. This one, thankfully, you don't. So they're longer and they have washers on them. Throw them to the side. Now here we go. You ready? Let's see if I can do it with one hand. This is your Kirby Avalir motor. This is what they generally look like on Avalir, Centrias, all the newer models. You hear the clicking sound is not there. You can see the fan, although dirty, it doesn't look damaged. The teeth here, the blades, they'll start wearing over time from people vacuuming up rocks, nails, any old thing. If it's not super soft, it'll damage these over time, and you'll have to replace it occasionally. This is the easiest way to do it. Take the motor out. These are reverse threaded. So instead of righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, it's righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. You stick something in there, take a 3/8 wrench here, hold it down there. You have to spin it. You'll see on the back here it's flat on two sides. I don't think my camera's getting it good, but it's flat on two sides, so you put the wrench down in there, it holds it, and then you can just twist this off. I do not have to do that with this. I just have to get all this garbage out of here they have built up, including the old belt, is what this looks like. So see, they did this at home themselves and did not bother to hunt for the belt, but we see that's the problem. The belt started the clog. Yes, Kirby's are phenomenal, but use some common sense, people. You don't vacuum up anything. Now, they probably didn't mean to. It broke while they were vacuuming. It sucked it on up. That's the power of a Kirby. They will suck it on up no matter what. So now the whole goal is to just get all this dirt out, clean it up, and it'll be ready to go, I bet you. That's probably the only problem. These Kirbys are built to last, and this is the newest model out there. Wait. Okay, never mind. This little seal here, this is a gasket that sits on here. That when you put it in here, it presses up against the frame here and creates that airtight bond. Yes, microscopic dirt particles will get in here, and that's how they get in the casing here. But compared to, I don't know, Bissell's, Hoover's, they're nothing. I've taken apart so many Sharks and Bissell's, and it's insane. Make sure this is seated right when you put it back together. If this is not on there, well, you're going to have dust all in your motor, messing up your motor. And you don't really want that. You can see better that inside fan there. So, we have this. We found the problem. Everybody agree we found the problem? It's the old Kirby brush roller belt. Snapped. Got sucked up in there when it snapped. If that happens when you're changing a belt and you can't find it, shut down the Kirby and find it. Remove the bag, you can probably reach in there and get it. If you're lucky, it gets sucked on up into the bag and doesn't cause this problem. They were not lucky. So now it's going to cost them a few dollars to get this fixed. So I'm going to clean this up some and come back to it in a few minutes.